Do you honestly believe the digital price on your screen reflects reality? Or are you waiting for the physical market to default before you realize you've been lied to? This 9-minute event isn't just a tech breakthrough, it's the detonator for the silver bomb. While you were sleeping, the world burned through its inventory, and Samsung just confirmed a technology that is mathematically guaranteed to bankrupt the comex. The fuse is lit. Are you positioned for the $150 repricing, or are you holding paper when the vault doors lock? Before we dive into the technology, you have to understand the battlefield. The silver market today is a house of cards, teetering on the verge of collapse. For decades, a deep and frustrating disconnect has existed between the price of physical silver, the metal you can hold in your hand, and the so-called paper price set on exchanges like the comex. This paper price is the number you see on your screen, but it's largely an illusion. It's a derivative price set by the trading of futures contracts, where for every 1 ounce of real physical silver sitting in a registered vault, there might be hundreds of paper claims against it. This system only works as long as very few people ask for the real thing. It relies on traders settling their contracts in cash, never demanding physical delivery. For years, this has allowed large institutional players, often called bullion banks, to suppress the price of silver by flooding the market with paper shorts completely detached from real-world supply and demand. This is the core problem, the great deception that has kept silver undervalued for a generation. But we are seeing deep cracks in this facade. Just look at what happened in late 2025. Silver didn't just climb, it exploded. On December 23, 2025, silver futures surged, with prices touching over $70 per ounce for the first time ever. This wasn't just another rally, it was a warning shot. It signaled that the physical market is beginning to overwhelm the paper manipulators. The demand is becoming too intense, the supply too thin. And speaking of supply, let's look at the vaults themselves. The amount of silver in the registered category, the silver actually available for delivery, has been plummeting. These registered stocks have fallen dramatically, down as much as 70% from their peaks in recent years. The cushion is gone. The vaults are being drained. The system is now extraordinarily vulnerable to a supply shock. It's a powder keg waiting for a spark, and that spark is being ignited by the global push for technological and green innovation. While the world is focused on lithium and cobalt, they're missing the real story. The true catalyst for silver isn't a single invention, but a multi-front war for a critical commodity. Let's be clear about Samsung's battery breakthrough. The company announced it's on track for mass production of solid-state batteries by 2027, a technology that replaces flammable liquid electrolytes with a solid material. While early research in 2020 explored using a silver carbon anode, the broader story is that the entire electrification of our economy, from EVs to AI, is creating an insatiable appetite for silver. Even without a silver anode battery, every single electric vehicle already uses significantly more silver than a gas-powered car, somewhere between 25 and 50 grams per vehicle. Silver is essential for its unmatched conductivity in countless electrical contacts, from battery management systems to power steering and charging infrastructure. The Silver Institute projects that as the EV revolution accelerates, automotive silver demand will continue to climb, with EVs becoming the primary source of that demand by 2027. But the EV story is only one piece of the puzzle. The biggest driver of industrial silver demand today is the solar industry. In 2023, solar panel production consumed a massive 193.5 million ounces of silver, and that's projected to jump by another 20% in 2024 to 232 million ounces. The photovoltaic sector's share of global silver demand has exploded from just 5% in 2014 to nearly 29% today. Add to this the explosive growth of AI and data centers, which require vast amounts of silver for high-performance servers and network technology. And you have a perfect storm. This isn't about one silver bomb, it's a relentless, escalating, and non-negotiable wave of industrial consumption from every corner of the modern economy. Stop. If the silver supply is so stable, as the banks claim, why are industrial giants quietly bidding up physical premiums while the paper price is suppressed? Who is actually holding the metal, and who is holding a worthless digital receipt? Now let's look at the numbers, because they reveal a future where demand simply overwhelms supply. The world has been in a structural silver deficit for years, meaning we already consume more than we mine. Let's focus on just one sector, solar. According to recent studies, the solar industry's demand for silver is on a collision course with reality. By 2030, annual demand from photovoltaics alone is projected to reach between 10,000 and 14,000 metric tons. To put that into perspective, the entire world only mines about 26,000 metric tons of silver per year. This means that within a few years, a single industry could consume over 50% of all the silver mined globally. And this is the most critical point. This demand is in addition to all the other growing demand. It doesn't include the millions of ounces needed for the expanding EV market. It doesn't include the silver required for 5G networks, consumer electronics, and the build-out of AI data centers. What happens when you have multiple, non-negotiable demand sources all bidding for a metal in a market that is already in a deep and persistent deficit? There's only one possible outcome: a global physical shortage of unprecedented scale. Industrial users, from Tesla and Apple to the world's largest solar panel makers, will be locked in a desperate bidding war for a rapidly vanishing pool of physical metal. And where will they all turn to get it? They will turn to the comex. And that is when the paper market finally burns. This is the end game. This is where the house of cards collapses. The comex, for all its power in setting the official price of silver, has one fatal weakness. Its entire existence is predicated on the idea that demand for physical silver will remain manageable. The coming wave of industrial demand is anything but. Here's how a default could unfold. When a major corporation needs a critical commodity for its manufacturing, it doesn't play games with paper contracts. They need the actual physical metal. They can't build a solar panel or an EV out of a cash-settled futures contract. So they will enter the market and issue purchase orders for millions of ounces of physical silver, and they will expect delivery. Their brokers will go to the comex, the supposed market of last resort, and stand for delivery. They will present their contracts and demand silver bars from the registered vaults. But remember those vault levels we talked about? Remember that the registered inventory has been drained down over 70% from its peak? The silver simply isn't there in the quantity required. At first, the comex might satisfy initial orders. The price will spike, but the system will hold. But as the industrial demand tsunami hits, we won't be talking about one company. We'll be talking about the entire global solar, EV, and electronics industries simultaneously trying to secure a multi-year supply of a metal that has suddenly become one of the most strategic on Earth. This triggers a classic run on the bank. As the first delivery requests are met with delays, panic will set in. Every other holder of a comex contract, from hedge funds to individuals, will realize the paper claim they are holding might be worthless. They will all rush for the exits at once, demanding physical delivery before the vaults are completely empty. At that point, the comex faces a choice. It can either admit it doesn't have the silver and default, a move that would instantly shatter its credibility, or it can declare a force majeure, an unforeseen event preventing them from fulfilling their contracts. They'll blame hoarders or supply chain disruptions, anyone but themselves. But the result is the same. They will halt deliveries and likely force settle all remaining contracts in cash at a price of their choosing. In that moment, the 50-year illusion of the paper-silver market evaporates. The only price that will matter is the price that a desperate industrial buyer is willing to pay someone who has the physical metal. Power will shift instantly and violently from the paper traders to the physical holders. And that's when silver's true price will finally be discovered. Ask yourself, when the AI and EV industries realize there is not enough silver to fulfill their hunger, do you think they'll care about your paper ETF? In a world of scarcity, if you can't touch it, you don't own it. Do you have a plan for when the delivery trucks stop showing up? So, where does the price of silver go when the paper market breaks? It goes to a level that forces the market to balance, and that level is dramatically higher than anything we've ever seen. A target of $150 per ounce isn't pulled from thin air. It's a conservative estimate based on future industrial necessity. For years, analysts pointed to the 1980 all-time high of around $50 per ounce as a benchmark. But that argument is now obsolete. When silver broke its old nominal high and screamed past $70 an ounce in December 2025, it showed that the market fundamentals have profoundly changed. The old ceiling has become the new floor. The real driver to $150 and beyond isn't about revisiting the past. It's about pricing for the future. A future where silver is an indispensable strategic commodity on par with oil or lithium. The market will have to find a price that does two things. First, the price must become high enough to incentivize a massive worldwide campaign of new mining. New silver mines take 5 to 10 years to bring into production, and roughly 70–80% of silver is just a byproduct of mining for other metals like copper and zinc. Miners won't undertake the massive expense unless they are guaranteed a very high price. A sustained price of $150 would trigger a boom in supply, which the world will desperately need. Second, and more importantly, the price must rise to a level that forces demand destruction. This is a brutal economic concept. It means the price of silver must become so expensive that some industries are forced to give it up. Can the solar and EV industries afford silver at $150 an ounce? They may have no choice, as silver's properties are nearly irreplaceable in these key applications. The price will continue to rise until it finds the weakest link, the users who can no longer afford to pay, freeing up their share of the supply for the most critical applications. This is the path to a fundamental revaluation. The most common question is, when will this happen? The timeline is clearer than you might think. We are already in the 5th straight year of a silver supply deficit. The serious supply squeeze is not a future event. It is happening now. The tremors are already being felt long before the earthquake hits. So, what's the strategy? How does an individual prepare for this impending market shock? The answer is simple and has been the same for centuries. You own the physical asset. You remove yourself from the collapsing paper system. This means owning physical silver coins and bars stored in a secure location that you control. Holding paper instruments like ETFs or unallocated silver accounts in this environment is an extreme risk. In the event of a comex default, these instruments could be frozen or cash settled at a fraction of the true physical price. There are claims on a system that will be in the process of breaking. Owning the physical metal is the only way to ensure you are holding the actual asset that the entire industrial world will be desperately trying to acquire. Physical reality does not negotiate with printing presses. The 1 kilogram per car requirement is a mathematical debt that the paper market cannot pay back. The gap you see today is the first audible crack in a dam that is about to burst. By the time the mainstream media tells you to buy, the physical inventory will be gone. You have the data. You have the warning. Are you ready for the fallout, or are you the liquidity for those who are? The clock is ticking.